Welcome back to video number 2. This is where we discuss the royal family. And basically, the two people we're discussing today are Anne and the King, because the King is on his royal tour to Australia. But of course, Anne's been busy as usual. So let's just jump in and cover what we have, shall we? Let's go. Princess Anne carried out an investiture ceremony at Buckingham Palace on Friday. She gave American professor Sir Philip Bobbitt an honorary knighthood for services to UK/USA relations and public life. This gentleman, by the way, is a professor of jurisprudence at Columbia University School of Law. After the ceremony, he had something to say, and he revealed that he had met Princess Anne in New York in 2023, and one of this gentleman's twin daughters offered Princess Anne a lesson in how to curtsy. Moving on. Now we're going to stick with Princess Anne. She and her husband, Sir Tim Lawrence, attended I can't pronounce it, I'm going to spell it, the QIPCO British Championship Day at Ascot Racecourse. This took place on October 19th. And of course, a lot of pictures came out of Anne because of the scarf that she was wearing. For those of you who don't remember, it's the Highgrove Heritage Prince of Wales scarf that a lot of members of the royal family were wearing this past Christmas when they walked to church. I think it was like, it was like a gift that was given to everybody. Wonderful. Of course, while she was there, she helped give out the awards and she stood for pictures. Yeah, I have heard that she has finally agreed at the age of 75 to a reduced work schedule. Wow. All right, let's keep going. Still sticking with Anne, she attended a performance by the world's oldest riding academy in London because it was touring the UK for the first time in almost a decade. They do these perfectly synchronized routines with the horses set to Viennese music. There's 8 riders, 26 horses from a Spanish riding school, and this took place also on the 19th. Princess Anne was there on the opening night, and she watched from the royal box, and there were lots of people there. These horses are very well known. They have golden bridles and just gorgeous work. All right, next up, I told you guys yesterday that I think that Harry put this information out about his surfing because he doesn't want people to know where he is, but also like clockwork because we know Charles was going to Australia. So of course he's going to try to grab the attention. It has not worked. Let me just say that King Charles landed in Australia, and of course he immediately made the front pages of all these newspapers. But before he landed, of course we saw pictures showing him heading off to Heathrow with his security and his wife and everybody else. Now, this is going to be a big test for King Charles because we know that the Australian Republican movement has tried to rebrand this visit as, quote, the farewell tour. And several state premiers basically have snubbed the king. They refused to meet him on Monday. However, the issue of the monarchy is not on the top of the priority list. So a lot of recent polling suggests that true Aussies want to keep the monarchy. And the tour started with pictures of King Charles and Queen Camilla being projected onto the Sydney Opera House. The sales had a 4-minute montage of images from previous royal visits. So it did show Charles and Camilla, but it also showed other, royal family members. Now, apparently the display was supposed to start at 8 p.m., but was delayed. And the mishap was caused, if you can imagine this, by the Queen Elizabeth, which is a cruise line ship. And it rained horribly right before they arrived. The cruise line ship, just so you know, was blocking the projector. Apparently it was really raining right before they landed, but as soon as they landed, the rain eased up. So they were able to get off the plane and meet a host of dignitaries, including Prime Minister Anthony Albanese. Now, everybody's going on about, well, Camilla still put her umbrella up and walked gingerly down the stairs. Well, the stairs were probably wet, which means they were slippery. And she's how old? She's 77, you guys. I mean, sometimes some of the comments that are put in these articles just shock me. So anyway, they landed at 8:30 p.m. local time, 10:30 a.m. UK time on an Australian government plane, which picked them up from Singapore. And just FYI, they flew to Singapore commercially. Also, there was the Governor General Sam Moiston. I hope I'm saying that correct. Listen, there was a lot of people there to greet them. I'm just glad the rain let up, because I don't know how they were going to carry that off if they were standing there in pouring rain. And what's really cool, just FYI, about this meeting is it's the king's first visit as the country's new sovereign. And this is the first time they're reporting that first time in history, a king of Australia has ever been to the country while he's head of state. I don't know, that's just so odd. Everybody's also talking about Camilla's blue dress and the brooch, which was a nod to Australia. I thought she looked lovely. Charles and Camilla then went to the Admiralty House, I think is how you say it, where they met with the Australian Prime Minister, and they shook hands, stood for pictures, and had a cup of tea. And then this picture was released. I love that. All right, now the next morning, Charles and Camilla were seen strolling the grounds of Admiralty House. And the Admiralty House, just in case you don't know, is located on Sydney's North Shore. They were seen, you know what? I'm sure they're tired. I'm sure they're jet lagged. You know what I mean? I'm sure they're just trying to recover from the long journey. And anyway, they were seen walking around. And of course, I've told you guys before that guy with the long beard, I always wondered who the hell he was, and come to find out he's one of the king's personal bodyguards. It's a guy with the beard. Anyway, they're staying at the Admiralty House, which is the official residence of the Governor General of Australia. And I'm sure at their age and with Charles' cancer treatments and everything, I'm sure they needed to acclimate to the time difference. There's like a massive time difference. Sunday morning, King Charles and Queen Camilla stepped out for their first royal event of the Australian tour. They went to church, and they were greeted by huge amounts of, cheers, and people just were like, oh my God, they loved it. It was amazing. And they were escorted in by the Archbishop of Sydney, the Most Reverend, I hope I say this right, Kanishka Raffle. They walked in, they took their place in the front row, they went through the service. It was requested to just have a fairly normal service. There were 450 people that were inside, and when they came out of the church, the street was lined with royal supporters, welcome signs. I mean, it was just amazing. Now, interestingly enough, there was a small group of protesters waiting nearby, but they were so outnumbered by the whistling crowds and the clamoring and everybody, wanting to hand them flowers. And they were so grateful that he made the journey that nobody paid any attention to that small amount of, anti-monarchists. If Charles and Camilla were the slightest bit worried about how this trip was going to go and how they were going to be received by the crowds, I think that this would have put them at ease. You know what I'm saying? Because this was just an amazing amount of people that had come to wish them well and attend church with them. I just think that's lovely. And there's the security guard with the beard. The next thing that happened was Charles went to the Parliament House. It's the Parliament's upper house. And they were touring him around, and he managed to see pictures of King George and Queen Mary that were painted in 1911, because after all, he is their great-grandson. Charles later on gave a speech where he said that he was very happy to be returning to Australia, and he just realized it's been 60 years since he had been there the first time. And he then presented a gift to the State Parliament House, a hourglass speech timer, saying, in the spirit of marking the passage of time, it is my great pleasure to present a small gift to the Parliament. It is in fact an hourglass, a speech timer to sit in the chamber and bear witness to the Legislative Council's next chapter. And then when he walked out, he met with these crowds. Just amazing. After that, King Charles returned to the Admiralty House where Camilla had gone. where he met up with Sam Mostyn. Again, that's her above in the white. And he also met the governor of New South Wales, Margaret, I believe you say it, Beasley. Very nice. And a big thank you to Remoulade Sauce for showing us everything the Queen was wearing. Just as an FYI, very interesting, while Charles is in Sydney and then again in Canberra, I believe is how you say it, it's being reported he's going to take part in a smoking ritual with representatives to cleanse and show respect for the land and acknowledge ancestors. Now, supposedly this stuff that they're going to be waving in his face has healing benefits and also wards off bad spirits. Okay, I could say something, but yeah, no, I'm not going to do it. I'm not doing it. All right, you guys, you know what to do. Put those comments and make them good because you guys know that I'm reading them. Hit the like and the subscribe button, then go down into the description box where you'll find the links to my Twitter, my Gettr, my Rumble, my email, my Patreon, which is currently paused, my Amazon wishlist, and a physical address. And for those of you who've donated to my coffee fund, thank you so much. And as always, you guys, have a great day.